Hey everyone, tonight we're traveling back, way back, to the year 100 AD, right in the heart of the Roman Empire. The Colosseum stands tall, the aqueducts flow, and the mighty legions guard the borders of the known world. Rome, they say, is eternal, the pinnacle of civilization, the greatest empire ever built. But here's the thing. Before you start daydreaming about togas and marble columns, before you imagine yourself as some noble senator sipping wine on a terrace, I need to be honest with you. The Rome you think you know? It's a lie. A polished, sanitized myth created by centuries of art, literature, and Hollywood blockbusters. The real Rome? It was loud. It was violent. It reeked of human waste and rotting garbage. And if you were one of the million people crammed into the city, your daily life was less about glory and more about survival. So before we begin, do me a favor. Hit that like button if you're brave enough to see the truth. Subscribe if you want more history without the sugar coating. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and whether you think you'd last a single day in ancient Rome. Now turn off the lights, maybe light a candle for ambience, and let's step through the gates of history, because today you're not a tourist, you're a resident, and your day is about to begin. Chapter 1. Waking up in an insula. Congratulations, you've just woken up in ancient Rome, and immediately you know something is wrong. The smell hits you first. It's a thick, suffocating mixture of smoke, sweat, urine, and something you can't quite identify but suspect might be your neighbor's dinner from 3 days ago. Your eyes adjust to the dim light filtering through a single small window. No glass, just a wooden shutter that doesn't quite close properly. Welcome to your home, an insula, a multi-story apartment building where most Romans actually lived. Not in a villa with fountains and frescoes, not in a grand domus with an atrium. Those were for the rich, maybe 5% of the population. You're one of the other 95%. And you live here on the 5th floor of a crumbling fire trap. Your apartment is one room, maybe 12 feet by 12 feet. You share it with your spouse, your 3 children, possibly your elderly mother, and definitely a few thousand cockroaches. There's no kitchen because cooking fires are illegal in Insula. Too many buildings have already burned down. There's no running water above the 1st floor, and there's absolutely no bathroom. The walls are thin, so thin you can hear everything. Your neighbor coughing, the couple upstairs arguing, the baby next door crying, the drunk stumbling home at dawn. Privacy? That's not a Roman concept, not for people like you. Your bed is a wooden frame with a straw mattress that hasn't been changed in months. It's lumpy, infested with bedbugs, and makes a disturbing crunching sound every time you move. You have one thin blanket. No pillow, unless you count the bundled-up tunic you use as a headrest. The ceiling is low, cracked, and stained with water damage from the last rainstorm. Speaking of which, when it rains, your room leaks. When it's hot, your room bakes like an oven. When it's cold, you freeze because heating is a luxury you can't afford. The brazier in the corner provides minimal warmth and maximum smoke inhalation. And here's the best part. Your building is a death trap. Insulae were built cheap and built fast by landlords who lived nowhere near them. They're 5, 6, sometimes 7 stories tall, but they're constructed with the structural integrity of a house of cards. Collapses are common. Fires are even more common. Every night, you go to sleep wondering if you'll wake up crushed under rubble or engulfed in flames. But hey, you're alive. You made it through another night. The sun is rising over Rome, and whether you like it or not, it's time to get up. Because in this city, if you're not working, you're not eating. And today is going to be a long, miserable day. Chapter 2. The morning routine or lack thereof. So you've crawled out of your bedbug buffet. Now what? Time for your morning routine, right? A shower, brush your teeth, maybe some deodorant. Wrong. Let me introduce you to Roman hygiene, or rather the lack of it. First, let's talk water. If you're rich, you might have a private water supply piped directly to your home from one of Rome's famous aqueducts. But you're not rich. You live on the 5th floor of an insula. So if you want water, you have to walk down 5 flights of rickety stairs, go to the nearest public fountain, fill up a jug, and haul it back up. Most people don't bother. Water is for drinking, not for washing your face like some kind of extravagant aristocrat. Bathing, you'll go to the public baths later. Maybe, if you can afford the small entrance fee and if you don't mind the crowd, the noise, and the fact that everyone bathes in the same water that hasn't been changed since yesterday. Brushing your teeth, sure, if you have a twig to chew on. Or maybe you can afford some tooth powder made from crushed bones and oyster shells. Tastes great, works terribly. Most Romans have rotten teeth by their 20s. Dental care is non-existent. Toothaches are considered part of life. If it gets really bad, you go to a barber who doubles as a surgeon and let him yank it out with pliers. No numbing, just pain and prayer. Deodorant doesn't exist. Perfume does, but it's expensive. Most people just smell. Everyone smells. You get used to it. The streets of Rome are a symphony of body odor, garlic breath, and yesterday's sweat baked into wool tunics that haven't been washed in weeks. Your clothes, you have 2 tunics. One you're wearing, one that's even dirtier. You sleep in your clothes because it's cold and you don't have pajamas. You work in your clothes because you don't have a work uniform. You own 1 pair of sandals that are falling apart. If you're lucky, you have a cloak for winter. That's your wardrobe. Women face even worse. They're expected to maintain some semblance of beauty, which means using lead-based makeup that slowly poisons them, plucking their eyebrows with primitive tweezers, and styling their hair with heated irons that frequently burn their scalps. Roman beauty standards are high. Roman beauty products are toxic. And let's not forget, there's no such thing as underwear for most people. You're just free down there, under a tunic, in public, walking around a city of 1 million people. Think about that. So you've gotten ready, which really just means you've stood up and put on your sandals. You haven't washed. You haven't brushed anything. You smell like a stable. Your stomach is growling. Time for breakfast. Chapter 3, Breakfast of Disappointment. Hungry? Too bad. Because Roman breakfast is about as exciting as chewing on a piece of leather. If you're poor, and statistically, you are, your breakfast consists of one thing: pools. It's a porridge made from grain, usually wheat or barley, mixed with water. Sometimes, if you're feeling fancy, you add a bit of salt, or maybe some old cheese if you manage to save some from yesterday. It's thick, it's bland, it's beige. It's every disappointing breakfast you've ever had, except worse. No sugar, no honey unless you're wealthy, no fruit unless it's in season and you can afford it. Just grain paste that sits in your stomach like a rock. Bread, sure, if you can get it. Rome has bakeries and they're popular, but fresh bread costs money. You might buy a small loaf if you have a few coins, but it's not the fluffy artisan sourdough you're imagining. It's dense, coarse, and sometimes mixed with sawdust or chalk to bulk it up when grain is scarce. Meat for breakfast? Are you joking? Meat is a luxury. Most Romans eat meat a few times a month, if that. You're more likely to see a flying chariot than bacon and eggs. Fruit, only if it's summer and you can afford it. Grapes, figs, maybe some apples. But again, expensive. And if you live in the city, it's probably overripe or half-rotten by the time it reaches your neighborhood market. What about drinks? Forget coffee. It doesn't exist in Rome. Forget tea. You're drinking water. Or if you're lucky, pasca, a mixture of water and sour wine that tastes like vinegar, but at least kills some of the bacteria in the water supply. Children eat the same thing. Old people eat the same thing. Pregnant women, soldiers on leave, students, everyone. Pools for breakfast. Pools for lunch. Maybe something slightly different for dinner if you're fortunate. And here's the kicker. You eat this squatting on the floor or standing by the window. You don't have a dining table. You don't have chairs. Furniture is for the wealthy. You have a couple of stools at best. So you scarf down your sad grain mush, wash it down with questionable water, and try not to think about the fact that you're already hungry again. But there's no time to dwell on it. You have to get to work. And first, you need to take care of some business. Chapter 4, The Public Latrine Experience. Nature calls. And in ancient Rome, nature calls you to one of the most disturbing places in the entire city, the public latrine. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a large room open to the air or covered with a basic roof. Along the walls are stone benches with holes cut into them. Maybe 20, 30, even 50 holes in a row. These are your toilets. And yes, you sit right next to strangers, shoulder to shoulder. No stalls, no dividers, no privacy whatsoever. Beneath those holes, a channel of running water, if you're lucky, that carries waste away into the sewers. The famous Cloaca Maxima, Rome's great sewer, is an engineering marvel, but sitting above it, less marvelous. Now here's where it gets really fun. Toilet paper doesn't exist. Instead, you use a tersorium, a sponge on a stick that sits in a bucket of salt water or vinegar. And yes, it's communal. Everyone uses the same sponge stick. You wipe, rinse it in the bucket, and leave it for the next person. Diseases spread like wildfire in these places. Cholera, dysentery, parasites, you name it. The Romans had no concept of germ theory. They thought bad smells caused disease, not bacteria. So as long as it didn't smell too bad, they figured they were fine. And speaking of smells, let's talk about that. Public latrines reek. Absolutely reek. The smell of human waste mixed with the vinegar water creates a stench that would make a modern sewage worker weep. People would hold their breath, do their business as fast as possible, and get out. But wait, there's more. Methane gas from decomposing waste would sometimes build up in the sewers below. Occasionally, it would ignite. Yes, exploding toilets were a real hazard in ancient Rome. Imagine sitting there, minding your business, and suddenly, boom, flames shoot up through the hole beneath you. It happened. Romans were terrified of it. And if you think you can just avoid the public latrines by staying home, think again. Remember, you live on the 5th floor. There's no plumbing up there. You have a chamber pot. And when it's full, you know what you do. You dump it out the window. Yes, really. People would just open their shutters and toss their waste into the street below, sometimes with a warning shout, often without. Walking through Roman streets, especially at night, was a gamble. You could easily get drenched in someone's bathroom bucket from 5 stories up. There were laws against this. Fines were imposed. But enforcement? Good luck. With 1 million people crammed into the city, the streets became open sewers. The smell was constant. The filth was everywhere. So you finish your business at the public latrine. Try not to think about the shared sponge and step back out into the street, grateful you didn't get burned by methane or drenched by flying waste. Now it's time to work. Chapter 5, work until you drop. If you're an ordinary Roman, your job is simple. Work hard, get paid little, and hope you don't die on the job. Let's say you're a laborer. Maybe you work at the docks unloading grain shipments from Egypt. Backbreaking work. You haul massive sacks of wheat in the blazing sun, surrounded by rats with no breaks and no water provided. You're paid by the day, and if you get injured, too bad. No workers' compensation. No sick leave, just poverty. Or maybe you're a construction worker, building one of Rome's endless new monuments. You lift stones, mix concrete, and climb scaffolding that's one strong breeze away from collapse. Accidents are common. Falls, crushed limbs, heat exhaustion. If you survive to old age in this profession, you're a legend. Perhaps you're a craftsman, a potter, a blacksmith, a cobbler. Slightly better. You work in a small shop, probably attached to your home if you're lucky. You work from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week. No weekends, no vacation, just work. Women work too, but their options are limited. Weaving, spinning, working as midwives, or selling goods in the market. Many women work as servants in wealthy households, which sounds better until you realize you're at the mercy of your master's whims. Abuse, overwork, and exploitation are just part of the job. And then there are the truly desperate, prostitutes working in the Subura, Rome's red light district. Life expectancy, brutally short. Respect, non-existent. Disease, violence, and poverty define their existence. Children work too. Child labor isn't just legal, it's expected. By age 7, you're contributing to the family income. No school for poor kids, no childhood, just survival. You work because if you don't, you starve. The state provides free grain to citizens, the annona, but it's just grain. You still need money for everything else. Rent, clothes, oil for your lamp, firewood, it all costs. And the hours. Romans work from sunrise to sunset. There are no labor laws, no unions. No 8-hour workdays. You work until the sun goes down or until your body gives out, whichever comes first. By midday, you're exhausted, drenched in sweat, and desperate for a break. But there's no air conditioning, no cold drinks, no comfortable break room. You find a shaded spot, gulp some water if you have it, and keep going. Because in Rome, you're not a person, you're a resource, and resources are meant to be used until they're used up. Chapter 6, The Streets of Filth. After hours of grueling work, you finally step out into the streets of Rome, and immediately you regret it. Roman streets are not the clean, marble pathways of your imagination. They're narrow, winding, and absolutely filthy. The pavement, where it exists, is uneven and covered in a layer of grime, animal dung, rotting food, and yes, human waste. Remember those chamber pots people dump out their windows? This is where it lands. The streets are essentially open sewers. Waste flows down the gutters, if there are gutters, and pools in the low spots, creating festering puddles of disease. And it's not just waste. Dead animals rot in the sun. Stray dogs fight over scraps. Rats are everywhere, bold and unafraid, scurrying between your feet. Flies swarm in black clouds. The smell is indescribable. Imagine the worst garbage dump you've ever passed, then multiply it by 1,000. The streets are also incredibly crowded. Rome has over 1 million residents packed into a relatively small area. People shove past each other. Merchants shout. Wagons creak and groan, except during the day when most wheeled traffic is banned because the streets are too narrow. So at night, when you're trying to sleep, the noise of carts and wagons shaking your insula keeps you awake. Pickpockets and thieves are rampant. Keep your hand on your money pouch or it'll be gone in seconds. Muggings are common, especially after dark. Rome has a police force, the vigils, but they're mostly firefighters. Crime prevention, that's not really their priority. And speaking of fire, let's talk about that. Insulae are tinderboxes. Cooking fires, oil lamps, braziers, all it takes is one accident and an entire block goes up in flames. The vigils do their best, but with limited equipment and water supply, often they just let buildings burn and focus on stopping the spread. If you're unlucky enough to be in a building when it catches fire, your options are limited. The staircases are narrow and wooden. Smoke fills the upper floors first. People die from smoke inhalation before they ever see flames. And if you're on the 5th floor, good luck. You might have to jump and the fall will probably kill you. But let's say you survive your walk through the streets. You dodge the waste, avoid the thieves, and don't get trampled by the crowd. Where do you go to clean off the stench of the day? To the baths, of course. Surely that'll be better, right? Not exactly. Chapter 7, The Baths Not What You Think. The Roman baths, one of the great achievements of Roman engineering, a place of relaxation, socialization, and cleanliness. Except, well, not really. Yes, Rome has incredible bathhouses. The baths of Caracalla, the baths of Diocletian, massive complexes with hot rooms, cold rooms, exercise areas, even libraries. They're architectural marvels, and for a small fee, even common people can enter. But let's be real about what you're walking into. First, it's crowded. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of people crammed into these spaces. The noise is deafening. People shouting, splashing, laughing, arguing. Vendors hawking food and drinks. Masseurs cracking joints. It's less spa day and more chaotic public pool. Second, the water. Oh, the water. It's not changed frequently. Everyone bathes in the same pools, all day long. No chlorine, no filtration. Just water that starts relatively clean in the morning and by afternoon is a bacterial soup of sweat, oils, dead skin, and things we won't name. You start in the caldarium, the hot room. The water is heated by underground furnaces, which is impressive, but it's also scalding hot and filled with people. You soak, you sweat, you try not to think about whose foot just touched yours. Then you move to the tepidarium, the warm room, slightly better, still crowded. Finally, the frigidarium, the cold plunge. This is supposed to invigorate you. Mostly it just shocks your system and makes you acutely aware that you're naked in a pool with 50 strangers. And yes, everyone is naked. Men and women bathe separately, but within each gender, there's no modesty. You're shoulder to shoulder with bodies of all shapes, sizes, and levels of hygiene. After bathing, you get scraped down with a strigil, a curved metal blade that removes oil, sweat, and dead skin. Slaves or bath attendants do this for you if you pay extra. It's not gentle. It's basically exfoliation by medieval torture device. Massage, available, but the masseurs are not trained professionals. They're strong men who will pummel your muscles into submission. It's less relaxing and more surviving an assault. Oh, and diseases spread like wildfire in the baths. Skin infections, fungal infections, eye infections, parasites. The warm, moist environment is perfect for bacteria and fungi to thrive. You go in to get clean, you come out with a rash. But Romans love the baths. It's social, it's cheap entertainment, and it beats sitting in your one-room apartment staring at the walls. So you endure the crowds, the questionable water, and the aggressive massage. You dry off with a thin cloth, put your dirty tunic back on, because you don't have a clean one, and head home as the sun begins to set. Time for dinner. Chapter 8, Dinner and Desperation. Evening has arrived, and with it, the promise of your final meal of the day. Surely after a long day of work, filth, and communal bathing, you deserve something good, right? Nope. If you're poor, dinner looks a lot like breakfast and lunch. More pools, maybe with some vegetables thrown in if you're lucky. Onions, leeks, cabbage cheap, filling, and utterly bland. If you manage to save a bit of money, you might buy some bread and olives from a street vendor, or maybe a small piece of salted fish. But meat, still a fantasy. The wealthy, of course, eat like kings. They recline on couches in their dining rooms, feasting on elaborate multi-course meals, roasted peacock, stuffed dormice, honey-glazed pork, exotic fruits, and wine that costs more than you earn in a month. But you're not invited to that party. You eat standing up or squatting in your apartment. No table, no chairs, just you and your sad bowl of whatever you could afford. Your children are hungry. Your spouse is exhausted. Everyone is too tired to talk. And then there's the question of cooking. Remember, open fires are illegal in most insulae, so where do you cook? If you're brave, you use a small brazier and hope you don't burn the building down. If you're smart, you eat cold food or buy prepared food from a thermopolium, a fast food joint of the ancient world. Thermopolia are everywhere in Rome. They're counters built into the street with large clay pots sunk into the stone, filled with hot stews, soups, and porridges. You pay a few coins, and they ladle some food into your bowl. It's convenient, it's cheapish, but the quality, questionable. The ingredients, mystery meat and vegetables that are more brown than green, but beggars can't be choosers. You eat your meal quickly, before it gets cold, or before a stray dog tries to steal it. You wash it down with more pasca or maybe some cheap wine if you're trying to forget the day. And then you sit there, in your cramped, dark apartment, surrounded by the sounds of a million people living too close together, and you realize something. This is it. This is your life. Day after day, year after year. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. No upward mobility, no retirement plan, no hope of anything better. Unless, of course, you seek out the one thing Romans used to escape the misery: entertainment. Chapter 9, Entertainment and Violence. Romans love their entertainment. And by entertainment, I mean violence. The Colosseum, the Circus Maximus, the gladiatorial games, chariot races, public executions. This is what Romans do for fun. If you can afford it, or if it's a public holiday and the emperor is footing the bill, you go to the games. The Colosseum holds 50,000 people. 50,000 Romans cheering, screaming, betting, and watching human beings kill each other. Gladiators fight to the death. Criminals are thrown to wild animals. Exotic beasts are slaughtered by the dozen. The sand of the arena is stained red with blood, and the crowd loves every second of it. Why? Because life is brutal. Death is everywhere. Violence is normalized. Watching someone else die makes you feel alive. It's catharsis. It's spectacle. It's control. At least you're not the one in the arena. Women attend the games too, though they sit in the upper sections. Children are brought along. It's a family outing. Vendors sell snacks. People place bets. It's as casual as going to a baseball game, except people are actually dying. And if you're not at the Colosseum, maybe you're at the Circus Maximus, watching chariot races. 250,000 people crammed into a stadium, screaming for their favorite team: reds, blues, greens, or whites. Chariot racing is dangerous. Crashes are common. Drivers are thrown from their chariots and trampled by horses. The crowd roars. Fortunes are won and lost on these races. But let's be honest, most people can't afford to go to the games regularly. So what do you do for entertainment? You gossip, you drink, you visit the local tavern and listen to street musicians. You watch street performers juggling or doing tricks. You gamble illegally in back alleys. You visit brothels if you have the money and the moral flexibility. Or you just go home because you're exhausted, because entertainment costs money, because tomorrow you have to wake up and do it all over again. And speaking of tomorrow, let's talk about whether you'll even make it there. Chapter 10, Disease and Death. In ancient Rome, death is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Life expectancy. If you make it past childhood, you might live to 40 or 50 if you're incredibly lucky, but most people don't make it that far. Infant mortality is staggering. Nearly half of all children die before age 5. Malnutrition, disease, accidents, neglect, childhood is a minefield. If you survive childhood, you're still not safe. Disease is everywhere. Malaria from the marshes around Rome, typhoid from contaminated water, tuberculosis from overcrowded living conditions, dysentery from poor sanitation, smallpox, measles, and a host of other illnesses we can barely identify. And there's no real medical care. Doctors exist, but they're expensive and often ineffective. Roman medicine is a mix of superstition, herbal remedies, and outright guessing. Bleeding is a common treatment. Have a fever. Let's drain some blood. Broken bone. Here's a splint and some prayers. Infection. You're probably going to die, but we'll try some poultices made from animal dung and hope for the best. Surgery exists, but it's brutal. No anesthesia except wine or opium if you're very lucky. No understanding of infection. Surgeons operate with dirty instruments in non-sterile environments. Most patients don't survive. Women face additional dangers. Childbirth is one of the leading causes of death for women. No prenatal care. No trained obstetricians. Just midwives doing their best with limited knowledge. Complications during birth. Fatal. Infections after birth. Fatal. Hemorrhaging. Fatal. And let's not forget violence. Murder, muggings, riots, building collapses, fires. Rome is a dangerous place. You could survive disease only to be stabbed in an alley or crushed when your apartment building collapses. When you die, there's no grand funeral unless you're wealthy. Poor people are buried in mass graves outside the city or cremated cheaply. Your family mourns, but they move on quickly. They have to. Survival doesn't pause for grief. Death is so common that Romans are almost casual about it. Tombs line the roads outside the city. Funeral processions are daily occurrences. Memento mori, remember you will die, is not just a philosophical idea. It's a lived reality. So as you lie down in your straw mattress tonight, surrounded by bedbugs and the sounds of the city, you wonder, will I wake up tomorrow? And if you do, will it be worth it? Chapter 11, Women in Rome. If you thought life was hard for men in ancient Rome, being a woman was infinitely worse. Let's start with the basics. You have no political power. You can't vote. You can't hold office. Your legal status is essentially that of a child, regardless of your age. You're under the authority of your father until you marry, and then you're under the authority of your husband. Childhood is brief. Girls are married young, often by 13 or 14 to men much older. Arranged marriages are the norm. Your opinion? Irrelevant. This is about family alliances, dowries, and producing heirs. Your primary job? Have children, preferably sons. Your value as a woman is tied directly to your fertility. Can't have children? You're seen as defective, possibly cursed. You might be divorced and sent back to your family in shame. Childbirth, as mentioned, is incredibly dangerous. You might have 5, 6, 7 pregnancies in your lifetime. Many women don't survive them all. If you're from a wealthy family, you might have some education. You might learn to read, manage a household, maybe even influence your husband's decisions quietly. But you'll never have official power. If you're poor, you work hard. In addition to all the domestic duties, cooking, cleaning, childcare, making clothes, you also work outside the home. Selling goods in the market, weaving, working as a servant. And then there's the beauty pressure. Roman women are expected to maintain their appearance. White skin is desirable, so women use lead-based makeup that slowly poisons them. They pluck their eyebrows, style their hair in elaborate fashions, and wear uncomfortable clothing. Modesty is enforced. Adultery is a crime for women. Men can have affairs, visit prostitutes, keep mistresses. Women, if you're caught, you can be exiled, divorced, or even killed by your own family to preserve their honor. Some women find power in unconventional ways. Priestesses, like the Vestal Virgins, have status and independence as long as they remain celibate. Wealthy widows can control their own property. Empresses wield influence behind the scenes. But for the average woman, life is a cycle of obedience, labor, pregnancy, and survival. You don't choose your husband. You don't choose how many children to have. You don't choose your life. And yet, Roman women endure. They find moments of joy, form bonds with other women, love their children, and carve out small spaces of agency in a world determined to deny them any. But make no mistake, Rome was built by men for men. Women were just expected to hold it all together. Chapter 12, The Reality Check. So, you've survived a day in ancient Rome. Congratulations. You woke up in a crumbling apartment infested with bugs. You ate bland porridge. You used a communal sponge stick in a public toilet. You worked until your body ached. You walked through streets filled with filth and danger. You bathed in questionable water surrounded by strangers. You ate another sad meal. You maybe watched people die for entertainment. And tomorrow, you'll do it all again. This is the reality. Not the marble statues and grand temples you see in history books. Not the noble senators and brave gladiators of Hollywood. This is the Rome that the vast majority of people experienced. Yes, Rome had incredible achievements. Aqueducts, roads, architecture, law, engineering marvels that sent.